All right, this video was inspired by Canadian mama. I'm not sure what it's going to take for people who support the establishment, i.e. the federal conservatives, or even provincially establishment parties who are committed to the Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. I'm not sure what it's going to take for you people to understand. The Federal Conservative Party of Canada is a Trojan horse. They're banking on the fact of your fear, and you will elect the Federal Conservative Party of Canada, who is the party that is responsible for committing us to this globalist agenda. In 1992, it was Brian Mulroney, and Brian Mulroney didn't come back to Canada and task all of his MPs to then go out to their constituents and inform them as to the consequences of committing to this agenda. No, they did the exact opposite. What they did is they framed it as conspiracy theory, as they do to this very day. They committed to it in 1992 under Brian Mulroney. They made it law in 2008 under Stephen Harper, which makes it binding in this country. Then in 2015, Harper committed us to that agenda again, leaving the door wide open for Justin Trudeau to get elected. And everything Justin Trudeau has done since being elected in 2015 in the form of bills, OICs, orders in council, and bureaucratic policy has been in commitment to the agenda that the federal conservatives are responsible for committing to. This is the root cause of everything that's upside down, inside out, and backwards in this country. If you think voting CPC just to get Justin Trudeau out is going to solve our problems, you're drastically wrong. The conservatives are committed to this. They're the party responsible for it. When are you going to get this? When are you going to pick this up? When are you going to grasp that they are just as committed to this agenda as every other party? And then you talk about provincial governments who are carrying water for the federal Conservative Party by never telling anyone that they're committed to these agendas, like the Scott Moe Sask Party in Saskatchewan, fully committed to this agenda. Why do you think they're running land use bylaws through consulting firms based in Saskatoon and Regina? Why do you think they're instituting and implementing SOGI in our schools? Because they're committed to this agenda. They won't say a word about it, because if they did, then the responsibility would be put directly where it belongs, and that's on the Federal Conservative Party of Canada. I don't know what it's going to take for you folks to understand that the federal conservatives are a Trojan horse, and these fake conservative parties in our provinces are right in line with this. You need to understand, we have to dump the establishment. We have to get rid of the establishment if we're ever going to have any hope at protecting and defending the values we claim to cherish. In Saskatchewan, the values of self-reliance, self-determination, independence, and community. The greater values of freedom, liberty, sovereignty, justice, equality under the law, the rule of law, prosperity, and truth are all under attack by this agenda. And all of our establishment parties are committed to it. So we need to stop this. You need to understand we're on the precipice of a totalitarian, authoritarian takeover. And all of our establishment parties are a party to it. You need to grasp this. You need to get it. You need to understand. There are parties that exist, like the CPC, who stands fully against this globalist agenda. There are parties in provinces, like the Buffalo Party in Saskatchewan. It's in our policy that we will reject Agenda 2030 in full and not implement SOGI and not implement land use bylaws written by consulting firms, high-paid consulting firms, from money that comes from the federal government into the provincial government, from the provincial government into rural municipalities, so they can hire and lay tracks for what they want to achieve through this agenda. And it goes right into municipal politics. We have to understand what's at play here. Look at Saskatoon. We have potentially an 18% increase in our taxes coming to us because our city is committed through ICLEI, an organization of municipalities around the world who are committed to achieving the goals of sustainable development. Written by a guy by the name of Dennis Meadows, who in the video pinned to my Twitter states we have two options. One, to live under a dictatorship with 8 or 9 billion people, or reduce the planet's population from 7.5 billion to 1 billion. He's the architect of Agenda 2030, based on his book called Limits to Growth. We need to understand what's going on. We need to understand all of these things. Climate change is all about controlling humanity, controlling us through all of this fear and propaganda. And the media is just as complicit. The media signed what's called the SDG Compact, where over 240 media conglomerates around the world are committed to this agenda and promoting what the government says. And our taxes pay to prop up these media companies in this country, along with our CBC that is completely publicly funded. And they are only to promote this Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. We need to understand this, people. We need to understand what our establishment parties represent, federally, provincially, and municipally, and what these people are attempting to do. Stephen Harper signed the agenda in 2015 called Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, Transforming Our World, where he said that Canadians must accept less sovereignty. In other words, implying that we're going to be governed by some globalist model who does not have our best interests and our values at heart. It's meant to destroy those values. All of those values I mentioned are on the chopping block. I don't know what to tell you. You got to understand what's at play here. There are parties that exist that will fully reject this agenda and take things back to where they used to be. I don't know what it's going to take.